Sometimes Donald Trump is so disconnected from reality that his hallucinations go all the way around the universe and on the way back accidentally collide with reality from the other direction. We may be faced with exactly that scenario in Sunday night's second debate. By all accounts, Trump thinks he won the first debate and won it handily. He was still relitigating the outcome on Twitter nearly 5 full days after he walked off the stage at Hofstra, still citing the same meaningless American Idol-style online votes, still blaming the media's spin, even though he had gone into the spin room for the express purpose of spinning the media. Also, by all accounts, those around Trump know he actually Titanicked. If they held some hopes of having merely a minor defeat to deal with, those have been dispensed with, as this week has worn on, by widening real poll numbers, especially in battleground states like Pennsylvania. Thus, Trump thinks he goes onto the stage in St. Louis Sunday night needing to land just one more dramatic, historic punch to the metaphorical gut to finish Hillary Clinton for good. While his handlers think he goes onto the stage in St. Louis Sunday night needing to land a dramatic, historic punch to the metaphorical gut, or Hillary Clinton will have finished him for good. This means that both the voices around Trump and the voices in his head are telling him not to hold back, not to look reasonable, not to try to undo the impact of his self-defenestration at Hofstra. In other words, not to do the only things he could do to convince that middle swath of voters that he is not as unlikable, not as unstable, not as thin-skinned, not as boastful, not as crazy as he appeared. Oops! If we saw angry Trump in the first debate, I think we can expect very angry Trump in the second one. And we already have a few hints as to what he's angry about. He dropped one in Mannheim, Pennsylvania last Saturday, just as his tax avoidance story was about to hit the New York Times website. Having already talked about Hillary Clinton's marriage and her reaction to the women who threatened it, he now moved on to what is political science fiction, even among the very large and long-established crowd of people driven crazy by the very fact that there are Clintons. Quote, "I don't even think she's loyal to Bill, you want to know the truth? And really, folks, really, why should she be, right?" This was new ground alleging some kind of infidelity on her part. It became an applause line. Trump may use it at the debate, or he may even go further, considering that bizarre high that he gets when he gets rolling really gets him high. I would need favorable odds to actually predict this, but I would not be surprised if he decided to make up specifics about who he thinks she was disloyal to Bill with. We got another hint Tuesday about anger in Prescott Valley, Arizona. On the subject of his tax avoidance, Trump simply refuses to stop digging. This one is as wild and illogical as anything Trump has yet said. But remember, he has spent the week testing the waters to find that one topic that he thinks will summarily win him the presidency on Sunday night. Now, after years of failure, she complains about how I've used tax laws of this country to my benefit. Then I ask a simple question. Why didn't she ever try to change those laws so I couldn't use them? It's the old line, I told you I'd shoot, why didn't you believe me? But it's elevated to a rationalization of the one thing that has done the most damage to Trump's campaign, the premise, oversimplification though it may be, that he hasn't paid any taxes since 1995. How to get out of it? Make it her fault. I didn't want to write off $916 million in losses. The laws she didn't change forced me into it. Never mind that Clinton didn't get to the Senate until 6 years after Trump pulled whatever he pulled, and he still hasn't denied a word of the New York Times report nor any of the inferences drawn from it. It's her fault. He broke the moral equivalent of the law, not his fault, since he's the law and order candidate. In the last week, Trump has also veered into some borderline hallucinations. And remember, he thinks he is the victim in the Alicia Machado story, that she should have been more grateful to him. And back in Arizona, he had a doozy of a far more serious dream. Quote, "We're in a nation divided with race riots in the street. You look at what's going on, race riots in the street." Sure, race riots. Hey, Trumpy McTrumpface, you'll keep using those words. I do not think they mean what you think they mean. Forecasting Sunday, we also have a few hints on how the moderators, Martha Raddatz and Anderson Cooper, might behave. Firstly, they won't have to behave all that much. This is a town hall format. Half the questions will come from the audience, so you know what that means. God help us. But as the Washington Post noted, the day after the first debate, my old friend Martha, who I worked with in local news in Boston 32 years ago, went on Good Morning America, and she was astonished that Trump had referenced never striking first with nuclear weapons, but then finished the same deal by insisting he would never take any options off the table. She said, "I think all of us at the table last night were saying, 'He said what?' We had no idea what he was talking about in the end, whether he wanted first use or whether he didn't want any first use. Maybe that next debate, we'll see." So that's one of the questions. As to style, the Post notes the same day, Cooper praised Phil Donahue for his hands-off approach that he used in a Democratic primary debate in 1992. He said, "I think there is a value in stepping back. You don't want it to be about you. You want it to be a discussion about the two. And if one is interrupting the other, that tells the audience something, and people can make up their own minds about what exactly that means." So we may need to be sending out a search party for Anderson Cooper on Sunday night. You may have noticed that I have not mentioned in this forecast what Hillary Clinton might do. And that is simply because there is nothing for her to do but to continue to treat Donald Trump the way she did in the first debate, as a guy who sounds like he just escaped from somewhere. Don't overreact. Don't get angry. Don't let him get away with anything. Keep that same smile on your face like an indulgent parent who caught her 7-year-old with his hand in the cookie jar and has the audio recorded on her phone, plus a videotape, satellite imaging, and 17 depositions, and is just waiting for his temper tantrum to play out. One last reminder by way of preview. Whatever Trump does Sunday night, remember he thinks he's winning and needs just one more good one to clinch it. And as much as the Republican hierarchy tries to disown him, he is the essence of their party in one respect at least. When a crazy-ass argument of theirs does not work, politicizing terrorism, shoving patriotism down people's throats, rescinding women's rights, none of them ever think, "Hey, that didn't work, drop it." They just repeat it, and they say it louder. In short, Trump is going to call Hillary a new name of some kind that he thinks will disqualify her, and it won't. It will disqualify him. To paraphrase Boris Badenov from Rocky and Bullwinkle, "I send in package to lady, which is really bomb. Door gets locked, she can't get out. Who gets blown up? Me." That's the closer. I'm Keith Olbermann. Watch this space.